This is what we are. We are.
Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you. So awesome to be here. Thank you guys for staying the whole day to be here. I've been really impressed with all of the presentations, all of the conversations. And the whole time I've been thinking about, what does that mean for Black bodies? Because that's what my work is all about. I thought I'd start with this quote to give context, because I'm going to talk about white supremacy. And I need you to know that this isn't just, oh, I'm denied alone, or oh, there's police brutality. Even beyond the violence that happens externally, white supremacy and racism ages our bodies internally. So as you know, Black people, we don't age. But internally, we do. It kills us. It's killed my father with stress. And so I just need to know that this is the foundation. This is what inspires my work, because I want it to end. And I want us to live in a beautiful, beautiful world. So I created AFROTOPIA when I moved back home to Detroit, where I was born and raised. And the reason is because when I came home, I saw these white men literally aggressively building the future of Detroit. Detroit is 85% Black, if you didn't know that. It's the only city with the high percentage like that in the United States. And it's majority Black women. So you got these white men crafting a future that, of course, we're not a part of. Then also, I really want Detroit to be this Afro-global hub. I want the African diaspora to know that they can come here and feel safe, and they can express their way of being and their cultures without any sort of microaggressions and the like. And so AFROTOPIA, what we do is that we experiment with the culture movement Afrofuturism. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about Afrofuturism because of Black Panther. It made it really popular, which is really exciting. But I will just quickly explain. This is a good example of Afrofuturism. It is a multidisciplinary cultural movement. You'll see it in architecture, dance, music, literature, visual art. And we take speculative fiction, science fiction, fantasy, magical realism, horror, and we look at also biology and genetics, mythologies and legends from the African diaspora, and we mix it together to create these gorgeous kinds of images, movies, so that we can expand our imagination, so that then we can start imagining, as Black-bodied people, new futures, because the futures that are outlined for us are actually filled with violence and harm. So this is important. We get to create our own destiny. And what I love about Afrofuturism, it also dismantles fear around the Black body, which is very, very important. So it doesn't just liberate Black people, it liberates everyone. When I first started AFROTOPIA, I started teaching youth Afrofuturism. This is Blaze. Every single student had to choose a superhero name. And we used it 8 hours a day for 2 weeks straight, and it was amazing. I really enjoyed that experience. It was my first time co-creating and teaching with youth. And so I decided to go into the school system, actually the charter system, which is more of a privatized school system in Detroit, because I want to learn more about education and curriculums and see how Afrofuturism can be woven into that kind of space. But that's when I learned about children living without water. And my life changed forever. Not a day goes by that I don't think about the children living without water, the families living without water. In March alone, they said that they were going to shut off 17,000 homes, shut off water on 17,000 homes. That's just March alone. And the average bill is about $75, which is twice the national average. Detroit has a 64% poverty rate if you add the working poor. Why would you shut off water on people that you know cannot afford the bills? And then there's a report that comes out by Henry Ford Hospital, a global initiative report, that says that if you live on a block with water shutoffs, you're 1.5 times more likely to get a waterborne disease. But it still continues. In fact, the person who's head of the water department, who used to be the chief of police, who used to be a council member, said, hey, poverty is poverty. These things happen. So that's when I decided to run for mayor of Detroit. Yes. And I am not a politician, actually. I am an artist. I'm a curator. But I really, really give a shit about my city and the people living in it. And that is why I ran. I actually invite all of you to run. We need to change the political system. And I quickly understood that we also need to change government. But before I even got to that point, I decided to hold co-creation sessions with Detroiters. So I had a platform, of course, but I really wanted to create a plan of action. So every week at my campaign office, with a different theme, adult literacy, cryptocurrency, the creative economy, tax foreclosures on occupied homes, cannabis, we all talked about ways to address the challenges and issues together, and it was really great. We sat in a circle, I presented my idea, and then they would tell me, based on their own experience, what they thought, and it was wonderful. And at the end of it, about 2 weeks before the primary, I came out with a plan of action. And that's when I created the D-Coin. So the idea that I finally felt comfortable and confident after speaking to Detroiters over months to finally present my most radical idea, which is universal basic income. I really want to end the cycle of poverty. And I thought that the universal basic income, half of it could be given in cryptocurrency that Detroit would create itself. And I call it the D-Coin. And that was pretty awesome. I was surprised. I got way more votes than from men, especially. White men, actually, were really, really excited. The entire world descended upon me and was like, oh my God, you're talking about universal basic income and blockchain technology and cryptocurrency. And I was like, yeah, but I don't really understand what it is. But it sounds good, right? But the idea for me is, how do we gain control, right? Because our city is not taking care of its citizens. And when you have an 85% black city, we are facing unique challenges that harm us on a daily basis. So I'm trying to figure out, how can we get out of these colonial systems and create a whole new system? And I said that in the plan of action. Government was never meant to protect or serve black bodies. We have to understand that in the United States. None of the institutions that govern us were to protect or serve black and brown bodies, okay? So this was like, this was my attempt. So I took some time, though, also to understand how does Afrofuturism kind of inform this political practice that I'm engaging in? And it took a while, because people were like, oh, what's an Afrofuturist candidate or Afrofuturist platform? I was like, I don't know, no one's done it before. I'm in process, give me a minute. So I ended up creating these principles. And they're just kind of a guideline. I'm sure we can add or subtract, but this is what I came up in the moment and kind of worked on. I really want to point out ancestral grounding. This is very important about Afrofuturism. You have to be grounded within the ancestors. Afrofuturism does play with time. It deconstructs it. So the past, present, future is all in the now. So when we say futurism, we are talking about the now. And we have to honor our ancestors and all that it's given us, and it will help us ground us in Earth and the cosmos. I really believe that humans are depressed because we are separated from those wonderful elements that really, really energize us. Trust and transparency. God knows we need this everywhere, all the time. We have no trust in our government. That's why people aren't voting. That's why they feel like they're invisible and they don't belong. Cooperative economics. Again, this is why I thought cryptocurrency could be something useful. Transformation and pleasure. I believe in pleasure. This is why I wear what I wear. I really believe that we need more pleasure in our lives. So, over time of learning more about blockchain technology, which is an immutable ledger, right, that holds these transactions, but there's so many more things that you can do with it other than just cryptocurrency that I have been learning. And I'm still learning, so please don't ask me any hard questions. But, you know, of course, decentralized finance we kind of know about, and there are more and more platforms coming out, like EOS, that might democratize the system of cryptocurrency, which is really interesting. But decentralized autonomous government was fascinating. There's a micronation called Liberland that's being created, or well, 2015 it was founded, but it's still in process. And they're trying to create a new kind of government system and justice system. Of course, if our justice system, as you know, you can read it in the newspaper, Google it at any point in time, does not serve black bodies. We are the highest, black and brown bodies are the highest incarcerated people in the United States. Okay, so that's very important, and this is what I am investigating. And I really implore you to tell me any ideas that you might have about this. Decentralized production, we have already. There are many maker spaces with 3D printing happening, and I just really want that to grow and expand in Detroit. And we have decentralized communication. So, there are mesh networks being created as we speak. The person on the ladder, that's my brother, Heru. I love him to death. For 10 years ago, when he moved back to his old neighborhood, he and his friends, really smart friends, got together and created their own mesh network. Now, we have the Equitable Internet Initiative that was created by Allied Media Projects. Please Google them. They're amazing. They have a conference in June. And they're working in 4 different neighborhoods to create these mesh networks because digital literacy is the key. We can't just start these new systems that deal with blockchain technology and all this emerging technology if people aren't digitally literate or even have access to the internet. 40% of Detroiters do not have access to the internet. So we're trying to change that as we speak. And this is a super important step. But the next, probably the most crucial that we can start today that does not require any sort of equipment is a shift in consciousness. We need to shift the consciousness in order to be able to decolonize these systems. Because anything that we design, everything that you've presented, if you're not understanding how that affects black and brown bodies, then you're really probably going to cause us more harm. Unintentionally, thank you, or intentionally. So I implore you to really do that work and do the work of dismantling white supremacy. This is so, so important. Yes, I know you're good people, and yes, your family's nice, and yes, your friends are nice, or whatever, whatever, whatever. If you are not on a daily basis trying to dismantle white supremacy, then you are doing nothing. I don't give a shit how nice you are. I really don't. My people are dying, okay? Dying. My people are dying, your people are dying, we're dying because we're humans and we're one family, and this is a power issue. This is a power issue. So white supremacy does not serve anyone at all. On that happy note, in case you didn't know, please come to Detroit. Detroit is the future. It is a great place. We have resident-led innovation all over the city. I only talked about one thing, but there's so much more happening. I really believe that we can lead the way in experimenting with all these new systems and ideas. Please contact me, talk to me. I want to play. Thank you. Yeah. Hi.
Thank you. Hi.
Welcome.
I'm still floating from Naum's presentation.
Oh, yeah, we were still in space.
So, Gabriel, we are just time controlling. So, I think we have time for a conversation.
Okay, great.
And it's time to turn on the lights of that side of the room.
Oh, will I get questions from humans? That'd be nice.
So I think we need to be super sharp on time just because
Yeah.
we need, well,
It's
so we have like, what do you say for questions, Gabriel? Control room. Just give me in the screen the time for questions. Okay.
That's it. Yo, let's get it in. Go.
Okay. So I will ask for a hand mic, please.
We have 3 minutes. Boo. Right?
Olis. Can you, yeah. Let's get these bodies moving.
Can I ask already? No.
Sure.
Mic on?
Sí, uno, dos, uno, dos.
Oh, I love that you're barefoot. I go barefoot all the time.
Uno, dos, sí. Hola.
Hola.
Um,
¿Cómo está?
Bien, ¿y tú? Consciousness.
Yes.
How are we working on that in Detroit?
In Detroit?
How are we working consciousness in Detroit?
You know, personally, I curate literature. I have a book club where we read Afrofutures literature, and I curate film. And so those are my ways of doing it, and it's kind of worked. I gave a talk last year, and the audience was all white men, and we asked, why are you here? And one of them was like, I come from a white supremacist background, a very Catholic background, all this kind of limiting ideas have been controlling his life, and he thought that Afrofuturism would be his form of portal for liberation. So it was like, fuck yeah, it is. It's everyone's, yeah. So in that more concrete way, but really this is an individual job, and we just need to remind each other that this is what needs to happen in order to create any of the things that we've just been presenting, right? In a healthy, sustainable, non-harmful way, right?
Thank you.
Monica?
Andrew?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well,
wait.
Monica has a mic.
Okay,
Yeah.
so obviously Black Panther brought Afrofuturism to the masses all over the world on a scale completely unprecedented and to insane commercial success. But that was preceded by a ton of other smaller and larger projects. So could you speak a little bit of those examples? And could you also tell the impact that you have seen, sort of very tangible impact on your community and African diaspora, and just comment a little bit on that?
With Black Panther?
The projects that preceded it, and then the impact of it actually reaching the masses right now.
Man, Okay, well, I'll just talk about more simply, so I don't have to use my memory, that Black Panther created for the first time the most detailed Black utopia that we've ever experienced. And every other day, there are groups that are actually trying to make that happen, which is super exciting. Of course, well, in Detroit, we can have our own, like, little Wakanda, but most places, of course, are not, completely contained in that way. So I think it's really important, though, that we know that what it could look like, what are the possibilities, just the expansion of imagination in general, so that when we're going about our daily lives, we know that there's more than just this. And then that's really important, because every morning I wake up and there's an article about some sort of police brutality, harassment, something. And it's really, really, really sad and depressing. And so Black Panther really helped to kind of give us an alternate kind of space. But yes, there's been lots of work that's been before Black Panther, but there's smaller works in a lot of ways. And that's why I do the film festivals. I like to focus on independent films and smaller projects and things of that sort.
It is so awesome for all this audience to actually become more aware of all these projects. So if you can share with us whatever that we should be reading.
Oh, how about this? You can go on my site, AFROTOPIA's now, and you can see there's a couple books listed, there's film listed. I'll put back the film list, and you can see there's so much. That it's too much for me to even list. Can I? Well,
Yeah.
okay.
We'll have more. You are here tomorrow as well,
Yes.
so we'll
Yes.
have more time
Yeah.
with Ingrid. So just 2 questions. Sorry,
Yeah.
it's
Okay, I took a picture because I just want to remember all the points you made. But you spoke about decentralizing finance and justice systems and production. But I wonder there was a question to be had around decentralizing education and the way that some of for example, in the United Kingdom, the syllabuses that are sent out to children come from a centralized source.
Yes.
And maybe there's a question to be had around decentralizing
Oh
education.
my God! Thank you for that question. The state controls our curriculum, which is the same state that is tried to kill a whole freaking city of Flint. So yes, we really definitely need to control our education system. When I was growing up in Detroit, we did, and it was amazing. It was one of the best in the nation, and that's when we were 99% Black. So that is extremely important. Schools are closing throughout Detroit, so we're forced to think about alternate educational models. Homeschooling is probably the #1 kind of go-to, and so that's exciting, but not everyone can do that and have that kind of access, right? Especially if you're working poor and you're a single mom, So, but it doesn't fall under the city government, unfortunately. The Board of Education is its own entity, so that's its own huge animal. But definitely, thank you for that question.
Hi, Ingrid LaFleur.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. It's a
Bonjour.
real pleasure.
Ça va
And
bien?
you look like a flower on the stage, and it's really
thank you.
like a jacket.
I'm living up to the name.
So, going back to serious things, I would like to know how did you proceed your decolonization process? Is it difficult because I was born in Belgium, but I have those 2 cultures. Should I get rid of Belgian culture to decolonize my...
Yeah, I mean, that's really tricky, right? Because I'm Black American. I am indigenous as well, so I am on my land. So that part I'm not going to negotiate. I do speak the oppressor's language, so do all my people, even though we have our own vernacular. But I am, on a daily basis, thinking in the oppressor's language. So that's something else, right? I think when we're talking about decolonizing is really thinking about the operations of things, how we're interacting, how we perceive each other. And it's just a questioning constantly, like where did this idea come from? Like our economic system, we just kind of exist in it, and a lot of people just think this is the way it is. We don't realize that the system is to control us and to keep us in a more kind of slave system than it is for us to kind of grow and prosper. A lot of people don't even have time to even do that unpacking, but I think it's important to question all of our systems that we think are just kind of these institutions that are unable to evolve when they can. Shit, humans created this shit. We can do something else, right? So like, let's do something else, but we need to collectively do that, and it takes a level of shifting consciously in order to make that happen.
But I was asking the question because I'm actually in the process, like trying to create my bubble and do my thing without thinking about colonization or whatever, and really like doing what I want to do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And get rid of I don't see racism, or I don't want to see it because it's just like a waste of time to me.
Yeah. It's very difficult. You can't, because your food is colonized. I mean, everything, it touches everything. And in Detroit, we talk about that and how indigenous foods, you know, the foods that are closest to our culture, we might not have access to the way it's grown, the way it's processed, how it, you know, once it lands on our plate. And then in terms of money, we may not be able to afford it, right? There's movies on this. You can afford fast food before you can afford fresh food. So that is part of the colony. So it's hard to, and the bubble, you're not going to be safe there. It's not a safe place.
I understand, but I'm conscious about what you know about racism, but at some point, to me, it's like sometimes it's a waste of time. You lose the focus on what you really have to do when you want to achieve.
Yeah.
And that's my point. It's like it's not easy to get rid of like colonization because it's there, as you said, it's there. So my trick is just like African fast food, which exists in Belgium. So.
African what?
Fast food.
Oh,
it's
really?
a way
you guys
to
have
just
African
to,
fast
hey,
food?
Hi, Africa. Thank you for your food. That's the thing. So
that's really great. Yeah, I think that with racism, when people are dying as a result of people's fears, you have to deal with it. I don't have the luxury or the privilege to live in a bubble. Even though I'm in an 85% black city, there are people who move there and still call the police on my friends when they're taking out the trash because they're afraid of black bodies. Again, shift in consciousness. Now, why they would move to an 85% black city and be afraid of black people, that's, you know, that's a whole other dissertation. But we just don't have that luxury to not deal with it when we're faced with it on a daily basis. My mayor is racist, so yeah.
So I will negotiate with you live. Are you open to the idea of maybe tomorrow booking a room?
Oh.
In the school where we are going to be, so
Ooh,
that those who want to. Oh.
I'll wear something sexy. Sure. I would love to continue the conversation. Look at me, I'm getting even more comfortable. I'm supposed to get off stage, right? Okay.
No, it's just that. So we arrange it tomorrow.
Yes.
We can have a room for around 20, 25 people
Okay.
who want to continue, exchange more thoughts with you, so we can do that?
Yes, that'd be great. Yes.
Thanks,
Thank
Ingrid.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In randomness, we trust.